Good morning, everyone. My name is Hillary Strong, and I'm a business analyst with the Small Business Development Center. And we are pleased to have Melanie Browning as our guest today on our training for July 14th. So I just want to give you a brief overview of the services of the SBDC before I bring Melanie into the training. Okay, so the SBDC is part of, we serve Yavapai County, and we are part of a national and state network of small business development centers. Our main offering is that we offer no cost, no fee counseling. Here in Yavapai County, we have a team of 5 counselors spread across the county for easy access to all of our clients. At the end of the session today, we will discuss how to request our counseling services. So we offer no or low cost programs such as the topic today. We also have a variety of tools available to our clients. We're also able to provide these services because we are funded at the federal level by the Small Business Administration and here locally by Yavapai College and partnering with the Arizona Commerce Authority. We also provide technical assistance in the following areas: disaster loan, marketing assessment, buying and selling a business, government contracting, and more. So these are some of our resources that we have available for our clients for free. The Growth Wheel Live Plan, which is a business plan tool that's very popular. We offer Profit Sense, IBIS World, where we can gather industry reports for folks that are entering a new business and they'd like some additional information. And I'm sorry, it's thundering in the background. And with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about Melanie Browning. She's going to be talking today about having a life you are in love with. And let me just read a little bit about her. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so Melanie Browning is first a mother of 2 awesome children that keep her humble and continually learning about human behavior. She's also a public speaker and coach that has a passion for sharing the success principles that have bettered her life and outlook on it. She's had a wide range of careers, from being a deputy sheriff in LA County, helped build a manufacturing company from the ground up, to even diving into the indie filmmaking world. She finally recognized her passion was working with people that she's met along her journey, the amazing stories they have, and the greatness they have that so many hide under the surface. She's driven to get more people to connect with themselves, their happiness, and to share their greatness with the world. So with that, I'm going to give it over to you and stop sharing, Melanie. And thank you so much for being our trainer today.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And thank you for those that are joining. Special shout out. Hello, Crystal. Thank you for the support. Thanks for joining us today. So first of all, I just want to say I'm so very grateful that you're here. It means a lot, not only to me, but you're wanting to have a life that you're in love with. Hopefully you're almost there, you're there, and you just want the refresher. But in being able to do that, we really help share that with the world. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get started on this presentation. Let me see here. Okay, awesome. So yes, life is absolutely better shared with others. So thank you again for being here. Looks like we have someone else jumping in. Awesome. The more, the merrier. So again, leading by example and is a good way to be able to change the world. So ourselves wanting more happiness, more joy, more success in our own personal lives really helps teach others how to do the same thing. And that's one of those things I really like to look at in when I'm going after something or looking at something, trying to change something within myself. I like to think, okay, how would I want my children to look at this situation? How would I want them to want things or to grow or to have more happiness in their lives? So often we kind of downplay what we want and try and put others first, which are good things, and they're really key things within us that help us move forward and build and grow together as a community. And those are great things, but oftentimes we can lose track of ourselves and the things that we really want and the joys and the things that are calling us. So think about the people that you love in your life. If you're one of those people that kind of has a hard time connecting to the things that you want, or maybe taking the time to give yourself that self-care and that self-love, think of someone else in your life and think, what would you want them to be doing in this particular moment? And sometimes that kind of helps us step outside and realize we're just as important, and that it's necessary for us to do that, to be able to set the example and really teach others how to do that for themselves as well. So let me just jump in real quick. There's a quick bio of me. I appreciate that. Thank you for asking for that, Hillary. I appreciate it. So who am I? So this is me. This is me, what you'll find on social media. That's right. I'm one of those really annoying people that as you're scrolling through different things and all your memes and stuff like that, I'm the one that's got the goofy grin, the big smile, the woohoo kind of energy in your feed. Not always, but this is oftentimes a lot of things that I am there. So, well, let me go back real quick. I just want to, just kind of giving you an example. Right over here, I'm really, really super excited about the rug that I got for my studio because it helps with the sound dampening. Like really something like that gets me excited. I think here I was doing something for an audition or trying to get pumped up for an audition. Here's me outside enjoying the outdoors and celebrating in Vegas with my sweetie pie. So yes, and this is also me. It kind of sums me up. I absolutely love my life. So I know what you're probably thinking. Oh, great. It's one of those people that was born just with a happy spirit, happy soul, always looking at the positive side, right? Are you one of those too? Because if so, that's awesome. But really, I'm not. This is an actual picture of me as a child, slight filter on there. But when I was growing up, I was the youngest of the cousins, me and my brother, and the cousins that were local. And my aunt would babysit us a lot, and she actually nicknamed me the whiny hiney. So no, I was not always a bright, look on the positive side type of person. In fact, I was really quite the opposite. So like I said, as a kid, I complained a lot. I worried about, what my brother was doing. He'd not beat me up, but he was bigger than me, and just I always couldn't go along with the big kids and stuff like that. So I looked at a lot of the negative in life. And kind of carried it into my teen years. In my teens, it was the 90s. So there's the grunge, there's, lyrics like, hey, wait, I got a new complaint. I really connected with that one. And, 9 Inch Nails and all of the grunge that was out there. That was my scene. That's what I connected to. The lyrics really spoke to me. So following along in that, I jumped into a career that was really in alignment with kind of not always looking at the positive side of things. Sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't, but really, like attracts like. So I went into a field, I got, certain things trained into me. I was learned to look for things that might hurt me, things that might hurt someone else. I was, trained to really look for the harm, look for the bad. And so it kind of seemed like for my life, my brain was already primed to do that. And so it felt like a natural transition. Now, there are some other good things. I'm not saying, law enforcement's bad at all, because I absolutely love it. Have many brothers and sisters that still work there and are doing amazing, amazing things. When I went into it, I really honestly went into it because of my love for people. I didn't really understand it then, but I really did want to help people. So going into law enforcement in LA County, I worked the jails, I worked patrol, I worked the court. I also worked, later I ended up moving up to Utah, and I worked the jails there too. So really got into seeing a lot of things that hopefully most people don't really see in their lifetime. This can really start to affect you in many different ways. You start to believe, you start to get a sense of what people really are, or so you believe, because you're caught up in that world. You're caught up with other people that are trying to hunker down together and it builds up this wall of good versus bad. There's all sorts of different kinds of thinking that you can get caught up in. Now, there was actually one point that I got so caught up into it, I actually started looking at the world and people in general, because I was around so much and I could see so many things that people would do to one another, like just unconceivable things, that was a normal part of my day, a normal part of my life, that I started to honestly believe people were oxygen thieves. And that's really, really hard for me to say now, because I know deep in my core that that's not true. And after leaving that and taking much time of moving forward and growing and shifting and really being conscious about my thoughts and how I think and who I'm around and the things that fill my life, I've obviously changed that greatly. However, when I was in there, I met a lot of different people, and I really appreciate the time that I worked there. I met a lot of people wearing the uniform. I met a lot of great leaders there. I also met a lot of great people that were on the other side of the bars. I got to spend time talking with people, hearing stories, really going in and understanding the mindsets of people on both sides. And in between, there were the volunteers that would come in and try and help. So there was a lot of stuff going on. However, I was really caught up in that negative way of thinking, and also in a very reactive, fear-based mindset. We were trained in the academy over and over how to set up scenarios. We were actually even trained how to visualize being off duty and seeing things go down off duty and how to react, so that if a situation would arise, we could be able to react appropriately. So in this kind of visualization, where not only when you're on the job, when you're off duty with your family, your mind is constantly thinking about the negative or what might happen and staying in that fear-based reactive mode. So after law enforcement, actually right before, I had met someone, fell in love, and we decided to start a business because, you know, who wants another challenge a little bit even more than being in law enforcement? And as many of you know, having your own business, it can be quite challenging. And so we moved up to Utah, started our own business, had some great successes, but had some really lows. And looking back, I understand, because of the way my mindset was, the way I would look for the negative, it kept manifesting or bringing itself about or being seen by my eyes in everything that we did. We would even have great successes, and yet I would constantly worry about the bottom falling out. And so, as you can imagine, this built up. I had from the outside what appeared to be the most beautiful life. I had everything I needed. And looking back, I do know I had everything that I needed. However, I was still waiting for that bottom to fall out. I was waiting for the bad guy to jump out from around the corner. It's where my mind was. And so I found myself with two beautiful, wonderful children and a house, food in my belly, and I was absolutely stuck in life. I got to a point that was very, very dark and deep, and it wasn't a fun place. And I knew something wasn't quite right. And so I kept, something within me wanted something better, but I didn't believe that there was anything better. I didn't think that there was a solution because my mind wasn't allowing me to think that way. So one day I was sitting in my living room, and, you know, I was just kind of lost in the state of numbness or looking for the bad. I'm not quite sure where I was at that point, but I was not in a good place. And I was sitting there, and then something, I don't know why it was different this day, but something caught my attention. And it was just this beautiful, wonderful noise of giggling, play, laughter, fun, suddenly filled my awareness. And I looked over, and my children were there. My two beautiful angels were there, playing, wrestling, loving on each other, giggling, teasing one another, just having the time of their lives. And what was so funny is they would do that often. They would have those moments, but for some reason, that day I was ready to see it. And so as I watched them play and giggle and just have this beautiful moment, I was looking at it almost like I was outside of myself. And I was looking at the situation, and I was wondering, why is it these two beautiful children can be in the same house as this woman, and yet they're emotionally in two totally different states. So that awareness there started something within me, and something clicked. Something clicked. I don't think I was really fully aware at that moment, but something clicked that the answer wasn't what was going on. It wasn't that, all of the blame that I was telling myself of why my life sucked, why, we are not getting bills paid on time, or this isn't going on, or, we have a problem with this employee because so-and-so didn't do this. Whatever the reasons that I was coming up with that was leading to this depression that I was in really had nothing to do with anything that was going on, because those two kids were in the same environment constantly, like literally they went everywhere with us. So it wasn't the outside world, it was something within. So something started a change within me. It was slow and it took a while to really sink in and for me to really understand that I could do anything about it. But that moment sticks into my brain, and I am so grateful for it because it absolutely started a change within me. So there's my babies. They still to this day do the same thing. They giggle, laugh, play, tickle. Fortunately, most of the time I can join in as well. So I was confused at that point. There was this disconnection between what I had known for so many years and how I had lived and how I had behaved in the training, and then this new type of thinking that was coming in. There was a set of confusion that was there. So what I ended up doing, not too long after that, I believe because the awareness that I had, there was something, I was opening my eyes at that point. So what I did, someone had sent in one of those motivational compilation videos. And for some reason, that one really stuck. And I started listening to it over and over and over again. And what it started doing is I dove into the self-development and started really trying to figure out what was going on and why when I would listen to these tapes, suddenly I felt really good and it was changing. I was getting more and more in alignment with how my kids were behaving. And so as I dug into it, I realized like actually does attract like in many different ways. If you're into the manifesting and it's on a vibrational level, or if you want a little bit more seemingly like concrete type way of thinking or to understand it, there's a portion of our brain called the reticular activating system. And what that does is we tell it by what we allow ourselves to pay attention to, the information that we allow into our brain, into our consciousness, what we consciously choose to accept to come in. We're telling it that's important to us. So if I'm telling myself, I need to look for the bad guy, I need to look for the bad, I need to look for guys putting their hands in their pockets, I need to look for this, I need to look for this, I need to look for that. I was telling my brain, this is important. So filter everything else out and only reflect back to me the bad things. That's really what I was telling my brain. And so with this shift, when I was listening to the motivational speaking, when I was reading new books, when I was bringing in new information, it was scooting that other stuff out. And what it was now doing, it was telling my brain, look for the good, look for the motivation, look for anything that I'm allowing to consciously allow into my brain. And so it really starts setting me on this path of shifting my awareness. So I was putting the earphones in, I was drowning out the negative self-talk. And that's really the biggest point here, is the negative self-talk that I had got caught up in, and the different environments that were coming in, the negative stuff that was coming in from the environment, I was tuning that out as well. And I finally got to a point where I started getting more confident, and I could do it myself. I could give myself positive affirmations, and I really got myself to a point where I could look for the good and retrain. And it's taken a process, and trust me, it's not 100% thing, and it's a daily practice to make the choices. So that's our beautiful, wonderful brains working for us, because we're not designed, unfortunately, to be happy. Our brains and minds are designed to keep us alive. So whatever we have going on, if we're staying alive, our brains are happy, and it's going to keep putting that into our awareness. The really great thing, and the way that you too can have a life that you're absolutely in love with, is by choosing what it is that you want to tell your brain to pay attention to, and what you want it to light up in your awareness, and what you want it to filter out. So this is one of the key things, is understanding that you can actually make the change within you. Now, along my journey, also, I discovered Jack Canfield and the success principles. Absolutely amazing. Another like aha, beautiful moment there. And so what I discovered there, when you open well, first of all, I really love how he describes that whatever it is you want, success, in this case, we're talking about happiness and a life that we're in love with. That type of thing, it's like a combination lock. So if you put in the combos, the right order and the right numbers, it's going to open up and it's going to unlock what it is that you want. And it doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care if you came from a poor background, if you're beat up as a kid, if you're white, Black, Hispanic, if you have disabilities, it doesn't care. If you have the right combination, you put it in, it's going to unlock and open to you. Now, sometimes, because of the programming that we have, some of the different situations that we have, yes, it might be harder to figure out those locks and get them the numbers exactly right. But following the success principles and many other teachings, many other ways of diving into self-help books and that sort of thing, they can help give you the confidence or the tools needed to be able to get to the right combination. And I'm going to share with you today some of the really key things that I found that seem to be, with working with a lot of the people, a lot of the key things that I see working against them, and to be able to really trust in themselves and having the life that they love. But obviously, don't let your journey stop here. Keep diving in and look to the things that really light you up. So first of all, you absolutely can do it. The power is within you to be able to do or be whatever it is that you want. And again, one of the biggest key components is retraining that reticular activating system. So first of all, I want you to give up all your goals, everything. No, I'm just joking. Not your goals, but give up the blaming, complaining, excuse making, and judging of others and yourself. Because this is really important, because if you're stuck like I am, or even you know that there's room for improvement on the way that you look, the outlook that you have on life, it's important to really focus and become aware of yourself, and to give up and to catch yourself in moments that you're doing these things, because it's really a process, like I said, of retraining the brain, letting it look at the things that you do want in life. So if we're busy blaming, if we're busy complaining, like I was so good at before, I can still do it, and I catch myself doing it often. But if we catch ourselves in the moment, don't judge yourself in it, just notice it. Actually compliment yourself. Say, hey, good catch, good job. And then you can start the reframing of it. So excuse making and judging are also two big things. Now, I'm not saying, don't look at things that you don't want, or not to put blinders on by any means. Awareness is actually really, really helpful on all levels, whether it's people behaving a way that you don't want them to behave, or not in alignment with the way that you would like to be around. Just be aware of it. So being able to take the judging out of it, not assigning a good or bad meaning to it, you can just maybe assign in alignment with where I'm going and who I want to be, not in alignment with who I am or who I want to be around or the direction I'm heading in. So success principle number one that Jack Canfield teaches is 100% responsibility. Now, what I like to do here, so 100% responsibility really means what it says. It means whatever you have going on in your life that you like or you don't like, take 100% responsibility for it. Now, this might sound weird because you're in this life and you're co-creating this life with so many different people. But if you take on that responsibility, you're really taking your power back. Because every time you give away your power by blaming, excuse making, and putting that responsibility on someone else, then you're giving them the power. You're saying they have to change in order for this whole situation to change, in order for my life to have to change. So if you take 100% responsibility, you know all you need to do is change within you, and it can change everything around you. Now, a lot of times we don't like to look at this because maybe we don't really want to change what we're doing. We just want them to change their behavior. But we are in this world together. So there's got to be a point where you have to look at it and say, okay, if I want something to change, I'm going to have to change either what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, what I'm believing about this situation. And this by no means says if something horrible happens in your life, you do find yourself in a situation where you are the victim of something, because things happen, whether it's other people or events in the world, pandemics that happen that really seem like you have no control over. Really, you can still take control and say, okay, I don't like what's going on here. What can I do to change it, to make it into something that I do like, or at least I like better than what I'm feeling right now? So start claiming responsibility over everything. I start getting greedy and like trying to, like a Pac-Man game, trying to eat up all the responsibility that I can. So because I know how powerful it is and what kind of control that it can give you over your own life and the outcomes. If you're working toward that happiness, assuming the control, assuming the responsibility puts the power within you to change things. So one of the things that he teaches with that is this really cool equation here. And it's E plus R equals O. Repeat it to yourself. E plus R equals O. That's an event plus response equals your outcome. So again, an event happens. You really didn't have control over it. Someone comes at you, the car hits you, a pandemic happens, some event happens. And then there's your response, and then there's the outcome of how you feel or the situation that came about because of it. Well, we really can't change the event that happened, right? The pandemic came down. We're not changing it. We can work together to try and help mitigate what's going on, but the event itself, we can't change, but we can change our response to it. How do you want to respond to it? How do you want to show up? That will really affect your outcome. I know a lot of people really started heading toward the negative, which is completely understandable. But there's a time where you can say, okay, am I going to let this scare me and hide and just somehow maybe in the future deal with whatever kind of outcome comes? And unfortunately, so many of us like to do that and put our head in the sand. Not everyone, and there's a lot of great leaders out there, and I hope that you are one of them as well, and you already understand this great principle. But really choose your response, and your response can be, again, it can be how you behave, how you react in a physical manner, but it can also be your thoughts, and it can also be ideas, and how you choose to interpret the event will have so much different outcome for you. It's kind of like if you're driving in a car and someone cuts you off. I know I used to be really bad at getting angry at that person. I would choose to take it personal. I would choose to get upset, and I would choose sometimes to give them a bad look or something like that. But simply reframing and saying, okay, it's nothing personal, or even telling myself whatever story that I want. Hey, maybe they got a call. Their dog got hit and their dog's in the vet and they're worried and they need to go see their dog. Just doing that shifts my outcome, shifts my mood afterward. I just let it go. And honestly, I wish them well. So you have the choice to choose your responses. So one of the big things as far as having a life that you love is going after the things that you want. I know here in the SBDC, many of us have really great dreams. We have goals that we want to share. And so often I find, and I talk to people, that they feel that there's a choice, either being successful in business or having happiness. And it really isn't that case. You can have both. And the way that you reframe your thoughts and the stories that you tell yourself, and a story could be, I can only have this or that, and say, no, there's many options available. I'm going to choose somewhere in there that will give me both. And really, I love listening to Earl Nightingale's The Strangest Secret, where he really even says just to feel fulfilled in life is being able to realize and work toward a goal every single day. It doesn't mean to grind. It doesn't mean to push. It doesn't mean to any of those things. Just to every day look at your goal and work towards something. Growth, working towards something that we feel is a bigger and better version of ourselves, really does help bring about happiness. But again, removing the judging of ourselves, if maybe we didn't hit the goal in time, or if we didn't work really, really hard, or whatever that it is, taking that out of it. So going for a goal and removing the judgment there can really help us reconnect and stay focused and stay out of the fear mindset. So getting in tune with what it is that you want. Take a time to listen. Ask yourself, brainstorm, write things down, get in tune. This is the time where you can kind of go back to being a kid and just making out that list of what you want Santa to bring. Really look within, and just, it's not a part of, I want this, I want this, I want this, me, 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 me. It's about you discovering yourself. It's going within. It's a process of learning how to connect back with yourself. So whether it's making a list, a bucket list that you actually want to go out and get all of those things, that's great. Whether it's just taking time every once in a while to make these lists again and again helps you get back in tune with you. They're both great things. And that's something that's so important, is to be able to develop a relationship with yourself and to really understand yourself. And it doesn't mean, you have to give up the life that you have. Excuse me. We do live in a world together. So we do co-create, and there are other people in our lives that might want other things. And so it's finding that happy place. But still knowing about yourself and knowing the things that you want is very important. So let's go ahead and take a minute. I hope you have, I forgot to mention, to get a notebook or something like that. So if you have something you can write on, if not, at least think about it. Just take a couple of minutes and list like at least 5 different things that you want. Now, really, I encourage you to do a huge list of 100, breaking it down in different areas of your life. And I do have a handout. If you want, you can email me and I can send you a handout to help with this practice. Just take a moment and think of a few things that you want and write them down. You don't have to share. You can if you want and declare it, but you don't have to. But write down some of the things that you want, something that lights you up and gives you joy thinking about having it. Okay. So I encourage you to take more time later today, maybe on the weekend, wherever your peaceful time is, and to just explore and get to know some of your wants. Now, there's a great exercise that I like doing. If you can grab a trusted friend or give me a holler, we can jump on Zoom and we can do this back and forth. It really helps to speak this out as well. It's really funny that sometimes when you're talking to someone, some of the things that come out of your mouth, you don't really realize you really feel, but they jump out and then you're made aware of them. So get with a partner, if you can, even using a mirror and talking out loud to it, and just ask yourself, what do I want? Or have your friend just ask you, what do you want? You answer. They just keep asking you, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And take the time to write it down, to record the session so that you catch everything that you want. And it's really beautiful. Sometimes people, they start making, I want a new pair of shoes. I want a cool new light for my studio. I want this new car. And as you go on, you'll start to go deeper and deeper into deeper wants. And this isn't always the case. I had a great moment with someone that as soon as we started off, she had these world-changing ideas that she wanted. And it was beautiful. It was really wonderful. As we kept going and I kept asking her, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? When she finally got to a point where she said she wanted a new pair of shoes. She started crying because where she lived, in the environment that she lived, and the life that had been created, she felt that she couldn't ask for anything. She couldn't ask for the money to be able to buy herself shoes because she was always so giving. Now, it's great to be a giving person, but she was denying herself of everything, really, in serving other people. And it really just, when it hit her that she realized she just wanted a new pair of shoes, she just started crying. So get to know yourself, ask a friend. It's really fun to be there for that person too. So take turns and do it back and forth. So let's go ahead and jump into goal setting. Like I said, having a life that you love means you can go after the things that you want. You know, hopefully you have a lot of people, supportive people in your life, cheering you on, supporting you. And hopefully you have that so that you can share some of those goals that you have. Sharing goals can be a scary thing. And, you know, what if I don't make it? What are people going to think of me? All of those different things might come up. But it really does help to be able to share your goals, because you'd be surprised how many people out there can help you. And people really do want to help you. And I love knowing that. I love sensing that, because I flash back to remembering a time where I used to think people were oxygen thieves and they were horrible and they were this and they were that. I know now how amazing people are and how they truly want to help and be that person to like give you connections, give you ideas, help you not struggle the way that they did in certain areas. So if you have a goal, find those people that are supportive so you can share and help get ideas that way. So a good way for goal setting is, again, connecting with yourself, figuring out what it is that you want. And then what you want to do, a great goal that's going to help work for you, is you're going to write it in the present tense as though you already have it, because those feelings of having it already are so important. So write it in the present tense. So I am so happy and grateful now that, and then you list your goal. Write it in the positive. So for example, on here, focus on what you want to be, do, or have, not what you want to get rid of. So weight's a big one for people. So I'm so happy and grateful now that I weigh a fit, lean, healthy 128 pounds versus I want to lose 20 pounds. And again, it's going back to that reticular activating system that's saying 20 pounds, 20 pounds, 20 pounds. It kind of negates the whole lose part of it. It just focuses on weight. We don't want that if that's what we're going for if we're actually looking to lose it. So focus on what you do want. And then make sure it's measurable. Again, the weight's a good thing because there's numbers involved. If you set a number, money is an easy thing to track if you set a dollar amount. But like, so for example, the dollar amount, but also like if you want more happiness in your life, take a moment and say, okay, well, what does that mean? How would someone from the outside, if they came in, look at it and say, yes, they accomplished this, or no, they're not quite there yet. You know, would maybe going on a date night once a week with your spouse or your significant other, would that bring more happiness into your life? So think of those kind of things. Again, getting in tune with what you want. What does happiness mean to you? You know, because it's gonna mean something different to you than it will for me. So make sure it's measurable. I also highly recommend writing it down once you have your goal written in the present tense, written in the positive, and it's measurable. Write it down on a 3x5 card and read it in the morning, read it in the evening, and read it as often as you can throughout the day. And what that does, that really helps prime your brain for, number one, you get to get lost in the feeling of having your goal achieved. And in the morning and in the evening, so as you're waking up and as you're drifting off to sleep, your brain's in a different wave pattern, and it's allowing that gatekeeper of your brain, your conscious brain, can filter in and out. I want this, I don't want that. So as you're letting in, when you're in those certain brain waves, you're going to allow that in, that I want this, or this is who I am. Your conscious mind isn't as strong saying, no, you're not. So that's a reason why it's really good to be able to do it first thing when you wake up. And then not only that, your brain's working on the ways and it's reminding you of your goal that you want. And then as you go to sleep. And then throughout the day, it's that repetition. Just like when I was programming my brain, getting from the negative way of thinking into the positive way of thinking, I did repetition, tons of repetition, and that helped as well. The gratitude rampage, this one's huge and I love it. It's so powerful and it's an instant mood booster. So if you find yourself at any time really, but if you find yourself kind of feeling the blues, not really feeling it, and you want to boost, this is one that I like having a toolbox of mood boosters. This one's a fun one. It's really fun if there's other people around. Once you get used to doing it, it's honestly just taking a moment of where you're at and just appreciating it and verbally saying, you know, your thanks for it. I'm so happy that I have this water here, because when I talk a lot, my throat gets dry, and then I have water right here. And, you know, someone went through the effort. How many people were involved in making this bottle here, putting clean water in it? The company that made the label, man, so many people, you know, work together to be able to get that. I love that I have my notes here. They're nice and handy in this 3-ring binder. I have this great box to set my computer on so that I can see the lights, and just really go around and just start appreciating everything that's around you. And it's like, I still love this rug that is in this room. It's so comfy. It helps with the sound, and just really get in the mood and feel that appreciation. And if someone else was in the room for them, express something about that person that you appreciate about them. That's where it gets really fun for me. I'm definitely a people person. So when you do that, you can feel that energy, and they might even try and act like, whatever, that person's weird. They'll like it, and it'll light them up somewhere in there, and it will help light you up as well. This is also a fun one to do in the car. Even if you're not, having a bad time, I have used it to help get me out of the negative stuff. And my kids don't really like this so much because people can see me. But if you catch yourself getting a little impatient with people around you, go on a gratitude rampage right there in the car. And I like just like making up stories of people in front of me and wishing them well and doing all the fun things. And they kind of give you weird looks too, but with a big smile and the glow and your open heart, it really does connect with them too. And you'll be surprised at all the wonderful smiles that you get. You might get some weird looks too, but it's fun. All right. So the gratitude rampage really helps. And a big thing of retraining our brain and how we think we are in the world is taking action. There's so many different things that we can do along the path to kind of get us there and to help retrain. But taking action on something, especially something that kind of frightens you, really does rewire the brain. And so looking at it and understanding why we don't take action, fear comes from basically a lack of knowledge, a lack of confidence in something. You don't know, you feel like you don't know what you're doing. And so that fear kind of hunkers you down, gets you out of your good thinking brain, and just really puts you in the fear mindset and just a reactive mode. Confidence comes from a place of knowing, and what better place to gain knowledge from taking action. I used to believe, I heard a quote before, that successful people take action, or they make decisions quickly and change them very frequently, and they take longer to change the decisions that they make. Whereas less successful people take a long time in making a decision and change them frequently. And I used to think that, well, successful people were just smarter, right? That's what that must mean. And once I realized and studied and started studying people and realizing there are people, successful people all across the board of quote unquote intelligence. And what it really is successful people make a decision. They decide to go one way or the other, and then they make their decision work. So they make it right. So say they start heading down this path and it's not working so great, they find a way to find the solutions. And by moving forward and taking that action, they're able to do that. And then they gain the knowledge along the way. So some confidence builders, obviously doing the thing, that's the huge one. But you can also talk to others, gain experience from other people, read books, watch videos, put Put faith in the principles that you use. Understand so many people have gone before you and used these principles and they've worked out for them. Visualization is another great tool to really get you in the feel and experiencing it. It's very close to actually doing the thing. And it's funny because even in visualizations, you'll see the problems that come up. You could help work through them. You can visualize again, having worked through them and it coming out a better way. So work toward your goals, work toward taking action, do the thing, make the decision, and go down the path. So going back to the picture I shared with you earlier about who I am. Now, this is a big thing, is a lot of times you might see, oh my goodness, okay, she's freaking out about a rug, she's all happy there. Now, what you don't understand and what you don't see is this is me reframing. Not the celebrating part, that was really fun, but it was a reframe. A lot of times you see in the other pictures, except for the celebrating part, I'm by myself. I have my kids half of the time, sometimes less than that. And so I find myself missing them a lot. And so what do? When I catch myself in that moment, I'm aware of it. I start to feel myself going, oh man, this and that. So it's a time to reframe and to start showing my appreciation for the things around me and to really get in the feels of having gratitude and really appreciating the life that I do have. Remembering the times that when I do have them, man, it's fun. It's so wonderful. And being able to connect with the things that I do love. And so going outside, pumping people up. And that's why the pictures were taken, because once I get to that state, my heart is open, I'm glowing, I'm in love with life. I just love everyone and I want to share that energy with other people. And so that's where it's come to for me. And that's just really something that I enjoy doing. So take a moment. If you're feeling those, be aware, catch yourself in those moments and think. It doesn't have to, you don't have to make your life suddenly perfect. Take the pressure out of it. Just ask yourself, what's a better thought? Just a little bit better from where I'm at. What's a better feeling I could be feeling? And what's something better I could be doing for myself, either focusing on working toward your goals or just thinking about happiness. That goal of happiness that you have, what does that look like? Just go inside your mind and just feel that for a moment. And that can really help start training your mind, training your brain toward feeling those feelings and moving toward stepping into that life. So what's great about visualization and doing that is you get to experience it right then and there. And you're actually living that in the moment. You're feeling it. Your brain doesn't know the difference between an imagined event and an experienced one. And if you don't believe that, just think of yourself up on top of a skyscraper, looking down with your feet tangling over the edge, and you get a little nervous, unless it's something you really enjoy. But we've all been there where we can make ourselves feel really horrible, but we can also make ourselves feel really good. So be aware of yourself, be aware of the things that you want, be aware of the things that give you joy and happiness, and choose to experience those more. Now this one down here, this is big for me as far as choosing to celebrate. And this is an anniversary trip that we took to Vegas. And because we both know it's important to just really take a moment to celebrate and appreciate one another and what we mean for one another. So give yourself that with whoever it is. Celebrate your wins, your successes, the steps that you take, the actions that you take. Take a moment to celebrate it and really hold on to those feelings so that you can use them in many, many, many days when you need them. So in conclusion, get to know you. To be able to have a life that you love, you need to know what lights you up, where your joy is. And it's like pockets of little rocket fuel to get going. So you need to know what within you does that for you. What lights you up? What gives you that surge of energy? So take more time to get to know you. Take the time to have the awareness to step outside of yourself, to see what's going on, to give yourself a breather. Decide what it is you want. Trust in yourself and trust in the process. Know that you can do it. You have the choices to make. Remember that E plus R equals O. You have control over your response. That's your responsibility so that you can have a better outcome each time that you do it. So again, adjust your responses. So as you go down the path, once you make your decision, you can adjust along the way. If you try one thing and it doesn't work out, try another. Keep going. Express gratitude. Be thankful for the things that you have, and be thankful for the things that are coming to you, because gratitude really is that signature of having something already. So you express that signature feeling, and suddenly it's in your life. It's amazing how it works. So Anne, enjoy and have the life you're absolutely in love with. So thank you so much. I'm Melanie Browning. And if you want anything, if you need anything from me, you have further questions. I know this is kind of a lot packed into one presentation. So if you have any questions, please take my number down. Feel free to email me, and you can check out my website. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time so very much for you being here.